How we deal with bullying behavior has a tremendous effect on several things that we're seeing today: mass shootings, school shootings, sexual assault, and sexual misconduct. Typically in the past, how we've addressed bullying is by saying, don't be a bully. And if you're being bullied, stand up to that bully and let them know. We know that this doesn't truly solve the problem. The problem lies with how parents, adults, other administrators, teachers, mentors address the issue of bullying. People tend to take sides. They're bullying me, I'm not bullying them, somebody's right, somebody's wrong, but nobody just gets to the root of the problem, which is there's clearly an inappropriate behavior happening, and without laying blame, how do we resolve that conflict? I've been dealing with a lot of bullying situations in many areas of my life. As a parent, I deal with it with the school board. Having a child who's been bullied is no easy feat to overcome within a school system that doesn't support the victims. The schools don't want to admit that there's any bullying happening, so they'll just do an investigation to determine that it's not actually happening. Then the victim feels unheard, unsupported, and tends to lash out against the establishment. And we see this in the mass shootings and in school shootings. We see a history and a pattern of a kid who is being bullied and who is not being heard and whose needs are not being addressed. And we blame the gun industry, we blame the kid, instead of actually looking at ourselves and saying, how could we have avoided this situation? How could we have addressed the way that they were feeling before it escalated to this point? It's a scientifically proven fact that we feel better when we bully someone. Our brain actually gets a chemical boost from putting somebody else down. The problem is we're more than just biological creatures. We're human beings, and we have a choice to be better. As adults, we need to look at our behavior and see how we can also be better. While my child was being bullied and I was feeling frustrated, and I was being bullied then by the school, by them ignoring me and dismissing my requests for meetings and conversations, I too felt frustrated and unheard and backed into a corner. I found myself then making fun of someone else to make me feel better. I found myself engaging in the same behaviors because I felt like I needed some way of healing the frustration and the anger that I was also feeling. In that moment, I realized that I was doing the same things that I felt the bullies were doing to my child. And momentarily it felt better, but in the end, it made me feel terrible. I shouldn't have to hire legal counsel. It's a shame because you should be able to just go to teachers and administrators and say, hey, my child has an issue with another child or multiple children on campus. How can we address this and make it better? I should have a viable way of communicating these issues and having resolution. We need to give our children those tools for conflict resolution. And it starts as young as elementary school. It starts as young as toddlerhood. How do they behave in a way that hurts someone else? And how do we address that? By shaming them or by finding out what it is that they need that's not being met so that they don't act out in that way. What do you do in order to protect your kids, whether they are the ones being accused of bullying or the ones that are being bullied? First, let's consider the bullies. We already know that there's a component to our brains that benefit from putting other people down. What pain is it? What lack of needs being met is it that that child is going through? Instead of shaming a child for doing something wrong, the community actually comes together and sits that child down and tells them all of the good things about him or herself. In our country, we shame them and we tell them that they're bad. And that only begets worse behavior. For the victims, they're made to feel that what they're feeling is all in their head, that it's not really happening, that they're not really being bullied. When the reality is that regardless of what actions are being taken, the victim is feeling a certain way. And how do we then empower that victim to take control of a situation? By acknowledging that there is in fact an issue and bringing the bully and the victim together in order to make an agreement going forward. The bullies aren't being singled out and shamed. They're actually being taught how their behavior might make someone else feel. And the victims are being heard and are being supported, and whether or not their claims are founded is irrelevant. Their feelings are being validated, and they are given tools to then move forward in a way that makes them feel safe and successful.